Hey guys, I'm Chris.
Hey everybody, I'm Robert.
And we're the Film Flamers.
And we are here to shoot the flames.
That's right. And this is very special, Shooting the Flames.
That's right. This is a very, very special episode because we have reached a fucking milestone.
That's right. It's our 200th episode.
200 episodes.
At least on the main feed. We're not even counting all of our bonus episodes, of which I think they're like 70 now.
Yep, we just released 70. So 270 episodes of the Film Flamers. That is fucking crazy to me.
For real.
I know we've said this before, but like when Chris and I started talking about this podcast and eventually had our first episodes, right? We never kind of expected that we would get, so many amazing like listeners and comments and stuff like that. And we really, really have. Like, I have enjoyed this fucking podcast ride so far.
Oh, same. It's the only thing that gets me through the day.
I mean, ditto.
That might be an embellishment. But
not far from the truth.
It does have a little bit of a therapeutic aspect to it.
It does. So Chris and I get to sit here and talk to each other and then share it with all of you. But that's not the only milestone that happened recently.
That's right. We've reached over 100,000 downloads.
Which is so crazy to me. I mean, I feel like when we first started, we were doing this for us. And we still are doing this for us, right? But a lot of that has changed. Now, I think we're doing a lot of this for like listeners.
Both, though.
Yeah.
Because we've managed to cultivate an audience that is, kind of small, but has a voice, and
mighty.
in our polls and over on Patreon and of course on social media, whether they're patron or not, and so we have, that kind of plugged in to where it's not only validating for what we want to do, but it also gives them more of what they want. Especially with this gateway horror, which ended up being so popular, so it's always fun to see the surprise hits too. Like who knew like Ghost in the Darkness would be one of our more popular episodes randomly, We're talking a lot about adjacent horror, which has been super validating for us with all the interest out there.
That's right. Because I feel like a lot of horror podcasts, and I listen to a lot of them, right? They do the big ones, the biggies, and it's all like straight on horror, but we have never shied away from an adjacent conversation. And I think that, including some of these movies that definitely fit somewhere in the genre, there's some interest to people who like horror movies, right? Clearly.
Yeah, and I feel like in our first few years, people would say like, this isn't horror. This is barely horror,
right.
Or how could you cover this or something like that? And we haven't gotten that in quite a while.
Nope.
Because I feel like we're very, very established as like the, horror adjacent, because we do the biggies, right? But we also really try and say like, this had a lot of horror in it, and it's worth talking about, especially because at the end of the day, we don't have to rationalize with some sort of argument based on like OCD categories that we need to stay in. This is our podcast.
That's true.
And we are going to cover what the fuck we want to cover.
And that's true. But also, I'm here lately, I think that we've been getting a lot of requests for things. And I really like that. I like trying to fit things into the docket. And especially when some of the requests are movies that we definitely want to talk about, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Our podcast Wrapped for Spotify, like kind of blew my mind too.
Yeah. There were some weird kind of metrics in there that they track. That was interesting. Like we're like in the top 10% shared podcasts, which is interesting.
Across multiple platforms.
Oh, yeah.
And that we're listened to in
WeChat somehow. Like, yeah. I don't
even know what that is. We're listened to in like 89 different countries. Like that was crazy to me.
Yeah, sure.
And I mean, like, it was just a lot. So, I mean, like literally, guys, over the last year, we have grown kind of exponentially as a podcast, I feel. And I mean, we kind of owe a lot of that. We owe all of that to you guys. Like you share us, you talk to us online, and we try to include you in like our monthly Shooting the Flames. And I feel like that shows. So we really are creating a good like audience / family. And that makes me very, very happy.
Yeah. We should do like a top 10 where we discuss our top 10 most popular episodes at some point, because it's really interesting to see like Interview the Vampires in there, Alien and Aliens, The Shining, and The Ghost in the Darkness randomly, and Annabelle is in there. And it's just like people are searching for these movies, I think, and looking for content, especially with like the shows that are coming out or anniversaries of movies that come out that we somehow, like if you've been with us for like the last 4+ years, that we accidentally land on these anniversaries without planning on it sometimes. Right. And so it's just, it kind of works out. But, it's also just more validation that this sort of thing was meant to be, and so we have no plans on stopping. We're not running out of steam. If anything, we are just like looking at our docket and being like, what can we do sooner?
I know we are trying to move things up and around. I've also like pleasantly this week, because Spotify Wrapped Week is like my favorite. Like, I love it. I love like seeing all the songs that I listen to the most and whatnot, because I'm geeky about that. But we have gotten lots of screenshots from people who listen to our podcast on Spotify, other podcasts rank, and like continuously when people share this on social media or Instagram, we're either like number 1 or number 2 in all of their like top podcasts. So it's been really cool to see that. And I've shared all those things on our Instagram story. So either way, Chris and I are celebrating our 200th episode, obviously, but we're also celebrating with you guys. So we cannot thank you enough for all the listens and all the support. And this is what Shooting the Flames is all about. So do you want to get started with that?
Sure. So we have no new reviews on Apple Podcasts, but we did get one on Instagram DM. It's kind of like a review.
Yeah. I mean, he said nice things, so I'm going to call it a review. So Ben Stewart UK over on Instagram sent us a message and said, guys, I just wanted to say that I love your podcast. I'm a massive film nerd. The Rewatchables, for the longest time, has been my favorite podcast, but I wish they would go into more detail about my favorite films. I just found your podcast series, and I love it so much. You two are both hilarious and so respectful of the source material. I get super emotional when people talk about their feelings toward films they love. My new favorite thing is your film recap at the beginning with the soundtrack playing. It's so good.
Oh, wow.
I don't think anyone has ever commented on our synopsis before.
Yeah, we've polled our patrons and we've polled our listeners, actually.
Right.
When we used to do those, I should probably do another survey.
Probably.
But they said, yes, they listen to it, or no, they skip, but I was surprised how many people do listen to it. And a couple of other people have mentioned, I think Kimberly, maybe.
Possibly, yeah.
Or Nicole or has listened to it with their kids, like has mentioned that it's like story time, and so I think for a little bit we were trying to guard our tongues a little bit, but that stopped.
Yeah,
sorry.
That's done. Sorry, guys. If your kids are in the car, I'm real fucking sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, we do. Like I really love doing music to the synopsis. And one thing that we've talked about many times that we actually haven't done is tell people what we do before the synopsis, which is I write it for you and you write it for me. And it's generally a surprise when we have to read it, hence the laughs. Right.
You're much better at that than I am, because you continuously make me laugh. Like, I feel like I'm only funny sporadically and not when I'm trying to be. So I don't know. Either way, you can generally tell when Chris has written a synopsis, A, because I'm reading it, and B, because it's more funny.
I don't know. Usually it will be more evil. Sometimes, like you will I think the whole thing started with the Jaws synopsis.
Oh my God, you're right. I left all that boat jargon in. Yeah. I did that recently too, didn't I? left a whole shit ton of names in one, and I was just like, here you go.
Yeah. So if you listen to the outtakes after, like the first outtakes after Jaws came out, you'll probably hear a lot of the outtakes from Jaws, me trying to read that synopsis. And it's just fucking hilarious.
I love it. Now if we can get more people around to liking our outtakes episodes, that's our next thing. We got people down with the synopsis. Now we get them down with the outtakes.
Yeah, I think it's just like there's a lot of in jokes and people just don't get it. And when you don't feel like you're a part of the joke, like it's not as funny. And so true. Like the more like objectively funny, like situational comedy and the outtakes, I think the better. But I think there's a little bit of both in our outtakes. So I don't know. We'll see.
Go check those out, yo.
Yeah. Let us know if you still love them.
Oh,
or ever did.
I mean, one person does for sure, at least. Matthew T. McHenry, thank you again for all the fucking outtakes comments. You're the only one. We have a shit ton of comments. Chris, do you want to start?
Yes. All right. So starting with our top 10 Treehouse of Horror.
Ooh.
Land of Enchantment Lobo sent us an email. And so he said, really like the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror top 10 segments, which included many classics and some of my favorites as well. I was only surprised to see one segment missing, Bad Dream House, from the first annual installment. In a parody of the Amityville Horror, the Simpsons move into a new home at a great price. Lisa and Marge are scared there's an evil presence lurking in the house, though Homer says there's nothing to worry about, despite there being a vortex in the kitchen. Homer throws an orange into the vortex, although the ones who live in the vortex throw it out with a note attached reading, "Quit throwing your garbage into our dimension." I'm embarrassed to admit that I've never actually seen the Amityville Horror, but I perhaps erroneously attributed the vortex as a call out to Poltergeist. Need help placing the vortex parody.
Okay, Land of Enchantment, Lobo. There's kind of a vortex in the Amityville horror, kind of. I mean,
Really?
there's not like a physical
I
one.
remember that.
But there's like there's a center of the house where all the evil is or whatever. Like, we're talking about the original
This
from the
house
70s.
has many hearts. Yeah, it feels like an amalgam between multiple ones. It could be Evil Dead 2, it could be Poltergeist, and it could be Amityville. And they probably did all three purposefully.
I'm sure The Simpsons did. And I will say, like, this is one of the ones that is very special because it's the very first segment in the very first Treehouse of Horror, you know? And I do love Bad Dream House. I think it's great. It's funny. It makes me laugh. But out of that one, I feel like The Raven is still better. But I mean, this is why we have like Shooting the Flame. So you guys can tell us like what your segments are. We ask, you know, like tell us what you think. And so, yeah, I mean, like it deserves to be high on any sort of list. Bad Dream House is a really good segment.
From our top 10 gateway horror movies, Walstrich over on Patreon said, great episode. Love the return of the top 10s. My 12-year-old niece is House Slytherin and super into the show called Owl House on Disney+. Lots of monsters, decapitation, and scary stuff. Also pretty funny. Just 23 minutes each if you want to check out an episode of what kids, or at least my kids, are into. At least a kid are into.
I haven't even heard of this. Have you?
No. I'm not really plugged into the kid stuff, though. You know, I've lost touch, as they say. I'm no longer hip.
Well, I never have been, even though I have 5 nieces and nephews.
That's true. Even when you were a kid, you weren't watching, like, Are You Afraid of the Dark and shit?
No, I was not. I was, like, watching Evil Dead.
Basic Instinct.
Yeah. I was watching Sliver over and over again. Whatever. But yeah, I will look into that. I will ask my nieces and nephews if we're watching it, too, and we will let you know, Walstrich. Okay. Bennett over on Patreon said, I first watched Legend when I was 8 years old and it weirded me out. I didn't know what the hell I was watching. It would be years later until I got the courage to watch it again, particularly the European director's cut with Jerry Goldsmith's score, which I would agree with Chris is the far superior version.
Thank you.
And Tim Curry as Darkness. Woof. He also has one of the best lines in the longer version. The dreams of childhood become the regrets of maturity. Oh, that's deep. I remember hearing that as an adult and going, fuck me. Also, fuck me, Darkness. You're hot.
So I responded to this on Patreon, agreeing with him, obviously, as we do. But in my reply, I inadvertently called Darkness hotness. I didn't even realize I did it. And I clicked reply and I was like, okay, I called him hotness. I'm not even going to try and correct that because it's hilarious.
I fucking saw that. Like I pulled up Patreon as I do after episodes are released to look at some of the comments or whatnot. And I saw y'all's back and forth and I was dying reading that. I was just like, hotness. It's Freudian.
Lord Hotness.
He is hot in that movie though. More on that coming up in another comment, I think. So Nikki over on Patreon said, this episode kicked off a fantastic month of gateway horror. I had so many thoughts and so much to say for each episode that I just gave up on commenting. It would have been like live tweeting, but less hip. Anyway, I loved it all, and I may give my top thoughts in just a bit. I can't resist.
I would love you to give us your takes on all of our gateway horror, Nikki. We always love your comments. So, and I think you have a comment coming up.
She does. And also, let's not forget that Nikki was, she was really a cheerleader for us to do that Gateway Horror Month in the first place. Like she was asking for it for quite a bit.
Yeah, for years probably, you know, and Nikki's actually one of our oldest cheerleaders and she's actually been on the show.
That's right.
Speaking of which, Never Ending Story episode, Land of Enchantment Lobo sent us an email and said, I always imagined Gmork spoke to Atreyu telepathically. Gmork looks like he is breathing and growling, but never speaking verbally. Whether it was the true intent, I do not know. I think it was muppetry.
It was sheer muppetry.
Sheer muppetry. I think he was supposed to be talking. He had that kind of like simian mouth. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely moving and they were trying to match it up to what was being said, but
yeah, they tried.
They tried hard, but
many of those puppets looked like they were trying to communicate telepathically. Rockbiter. These hands.
Oh my God. Nikki over on Twitter left us this comment and she said, as a kid that often got lost in my books, I loved this movie. Showed this to my oldest kid when he was 7. He swore he'd never forgive me for having him watch Artax die. Oh, same. I answered, life is pain. Anyone who tells you differently is selling something. And then we watched The Princess Bride.
Well, damn.
Some tough parenting, but true.
Yeah, there's horror adjacent and then there's like or adjacent, 3 times removed or something. Because I'd love to talk about Princess Bride at some point.
Oh my God, for real.
Boo! Princess of filth! Princess of slime! Princess of garbage!
You do know that for a period of time, my nickname was Princess Buttercup, right?
No, I thought it was Christina.
Well, that's what my mom called me. I had a friend, and I called her Felina or something like that. I don't know. We got it from a song, and she called me Princess Buttercup. So I really enjoyed that. I missed that. Hey, Lisa.
The Penelope Chronicles over on Instagram said, still have no idea that Bastion named the childlike empress Moonchild. Mind blown. Also, looked up how to spell Bastion and saw that his full name was Bastion Bucks. Seriously? I might have laughed until I cried.
Bastion Bucks?
Bastion Bucks.
That's a good drag name.
Maybe.
So is Moonchild, though. Jeremy Elkington on Instagram said, hey, guys. Fantastic listening to you talk about this blast from the past. It's certainly a unique film visually and character-wise, and possibly one of the first films I had seen as a kid that presented serious and sad themes. My kids have all seen this film, and we're certainly into it. Cheers, guys.
For real. And we really go into that in the deep dive about just how, like, kind of morose the movie is.
Oh my God. I'm not even quite sure I realized like how morose it was until we watched it
to a point that is amazingly enjoyable to watch as an adult.
It is. I mean, it's different. It's a different experience to watch as an adult. And I really love that people our age are showing their kids this movie. And I hope to God that they're having some sort of like realization while they're watching it as an adult, especially if they haven't seen it for like years upon years. And maybe you're having some conversations with their children about like emotions and what it's like to grow up.
It's almost like preparatory, you know, because most kids aren't nihilist. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, this is a flavor of depression only I could experience as an adult.
Maybe I was a little nihilist as a child. I'm sure I was.
Display Scarab from Instagram said, wow, I love this movie. A classic for sure. I love the story concept, and don't get me started on how badass my boy Atreyu was. Happy holidays to the both of you. Love you guys and keep up the good work. Sweet dreams.
Happy holidays to you.
Ellipses.
My boy Atreyu. Happy holidays, Display Scarab. Love you too. And sweet dreams as well.
And he's my boy.
Your boy
That
Atreyu?
sounds wrong. Let's just not do that. He's like 60 now. Okay. Let's ruin it for everybody. How do you like that, bitch pudding? Okay.
Bitch pudding. From our deep dive into Legend, Kimberly over on Patreon said, holy forking shirt balls, you guys. I had no idea there was a director's cut. I just ordered it on eBay. I'm so excited. I too was shocked to find out that Robert Picardo was Meg Knucklebones. I remember him from Gremlins too, as the guy who got it on with the girl gremlin.
Actually, it's Meg Mucklebones.
Oh, yeah. And it's Gremlina.
And in the show notes, I put the actual link to the Amazon Blu-ray of the director's cut, which was like 50% off. So I messaged her immediately after I got this, and I was like, hey, if it's not too late, like maybe you can get this for cheaper or faster. You know, I never heard back, but Kimberly, please let us know what you thought of that director's cut.
Yes, and hopefully you got it for cheaper than on eBay.
Yeah.
Nikki, also on Patreon, said, this was one of my favorite movies growing up, but I can't wait to watch the director's cut. Oh my God, did we just like introduce the director's cut to the entire world?
Hell yes, we did.
I fell in love with Tim Curry because of this movie, and the love has continued. I have watched Annie more times than I can count. When I was little, I daydreamed about being a ballerina in that black gown with darkness.
Who hasn't?
I certainly have. That's my favorite part of that movie.
Hell yeah.
Always and forever. And Tim Curry is fucking excellent. She commented also on Twitter with a very similarly worded like tweet, and she was talking about other Tim Curry movies that she liked besides Annie. So obviously like Rocky Horror Picture Show, Clue, you know, like all the big ones, right? But Nikki, just so you know, I also love Annie very, very much. I have seen it so many times. I watched it a lot when I was a kid. It's my third favorite musical.
Tomorrow.
It's a hard knock life for us.
Yeah, it is. Mm-hmm. So, yes, all about the gown with darkness.
Oh my God, I want that to be my Halloween costume.
And please, Nikki, let us know what you thought of the director's cut.
Yes. Oh my God, so many people watching the director's cut. You have to tell us.
I feel like motherfucking Teresa right now. I'm just like giving this gift to the world.
As you should. You saint.
Well, speaking of which, someone else already knew about it because GWilliamNYC over on Patreon said, I love Legend. Both the American theatrical cut and the director's cut are magical. I grew up with the theatrical version being on TV every 3 seconds, as well as taping it, and then rewatching it over and over. I can't tell, though, which part made me gay, though. Haha, Tom Cruise's skimpy little thigh-bearing wooden nymph outfits, Darkness's beef and swagger, or probably and most likely Miracere's dark princess goth look. That high color, swoon. Thanks for covering this, guys. It was a very fun episode.
Aww.
Yeah, we were just talking about that gown, so I think it was all of our
For real. I mean, all those things made me a little bit gay because I think I talked about it in the episode too. Like, this was on cable. I watched it so many times when I was a kid.
The first time I saw it was on cable.
Yeah, I recorded this shit the same. I watched it over and over again. And I feel like out of all those three things, it was the fucking gown that made me the gayest.
Yeah, I remember the whole movie, and then I remember that scene, and that was like what, outside of him coming out of the mirror, like she sees herself first in the mirror, right? And that's the whole thing. And then that reveal, and then the reveal of darkness. Her reveal is just as powerful in a way, because I just felt a little part of me like just popping into existence in my memory back then.
There's a lot. I mean, I don't think that I really put enough weight on Legend for like helping me with my queerness when I was a little boy.
That whole section of the film basically just like high stakes drag race.
Oh my God, I wish some queen would do that. This is going to be my fucking Halloween costume next year. You just mark my words.
Hell yeah.
I'm going to find someone to make that fucking gown for me.
Make the hair. The hair crown or whatever the hell she is. Aquanet.
What are you going to go as? You go as Tom Cruise and the wood nymph
just
thing?
one big thigh. A thigh with teeth. No, I can't do it. I'm not 4 feet tall. Okay.
Jack.
I'll go as Mickey Rooney auditioning. Next to Tom Cruise.
Oh my God, that was so funny. I listened back to that episode and I was just like cracking up at that shit. Those fun facts were so good. daveisruff over on Patreon said, I managed to avoid this movie for 28 years until a current girlfriend finally cornered me with it. I remember finding it boring, but really loving the fantasy atmosphere. The very, very flammable atmosphere.
Yeah. So I responded to this on Patreon and said, you must have watched the theatrical version. Really, because we were bored to tears as well.
Yes.
You know, comparatively, relatively. So watch that director's cut for real. And also I see what you did there with the very, very flammable.
We got you.
Yeah. BattleBurrito on Twitter said, if I had a nickel for every time I was turned on by a red Satan-adjacent muscle daddy from a movie, I would have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot of money, but it's weird that it's happened twice. Ron Perlman and Hellboy. I was about to say from that Jack Black movie where they have to deal with the devil or whatever, and there was like a whole song piece about it.
Was it a movie or a music video?
Both.
Oh, I think I know that song.
I never watched the movie, but I know that piece is in it. Mm. Yeah. The greatest song in the world?
Yes. I love that video. I love that song.
Yeah.
Very much. Well, BattleBurrito, go find yourself your...
That's a third nickel. In South Park. Oh my God.
That's right. Satan is gay.
4 nickels.
Yeah.
He's gay with Saddam Hussein.
Saddam Hussein. I need to watch that movie again.
And he's a big fucking daddy.
Satan is a big muscle daddy. Maybe, okay. You know what? Legend is like the Legend is the movie that made all of us gay.
The archetype, yeah.
We just have to just admit it clearly.
For real.
And our love of Satan.
It's really gateway gay.
Gateway gay. So we put a poll up over on Patreon for our bonus episode for Gateway Horror Month.
Yeah, we had a flurry of comments asking for choices and talking about how hard it was to choose, with like Little Shop of Horrors, Dark Crystal, and Return to Oz becoming like a 3-way tie. So we ended up doing Little Shop of Horrors, but we do plan on possibly returning to Gateway Horror next November and possibly deep diving Dark Crystal and Return to Oz based on the huge amount of interest that we got for those. Mm-hmm. So we plan on deep diving Little Shop of Horrors as well. Some comedy month in the future, probably some April, based on our Patreon episodes, bonus episode conversation where we just had so many questions.
Yeah, we really need to like.
It's one of our longer bonus episodes too.
It was. So. It was 30 minutes long, essentially.
Well, yeah, usually our bonus episodes are like 25 to 40 minutes or so, but it was one of on the longer side.
Yeah. But some actual comments from that poll. GWilliamNYC over on Patreon said, "Oh wow, the last unicorn. No one ever talks about this true gem. I'm choosing Dark Crystal over this just because of the fucking Skeksis." And overall puppetry, sheer puppetry. That being said, the last unicorn is so sad, dark, weird, creepy, depressing, and yet beautiful. That laughing skull terrified me.
Yeah. Voiced by Rene Auberjonois or whatever. I don't know what's his name. He played Odo on Deep Space Nine. Random facts.
I'd have to look at it.
Anyway, yeah, needs some love. Almost, I feel like a couple people might have voted for it, but it was definitely on the low side. It wasn't like 0 like Wizard of Oz was.
Yes.
But,
although I am really interested in watching The Last Unicorn again, based on our conversation from the top 10 episode.
yeah, there's a melancholy there that's super specific. I love it. And
Yeah.
also it's an excuse to just like listen to the America soundtrack, which is not like Disneyfied. It's, you know, it's actual legit like folk rock, you know?
Oh, I love America.
So,
The band.
yeah. This isn't a political show. Moving on. So Bennett over on Patreon, on our bonus episode for Little Shop of Horrors, said, "Before I voted for this title as your bonus episode, I actually voted for Wizard of Oz."
Oh.
With no other votes. But since I was literally the only one voting for that one, which I admit was shocking, I eventually jumped ship and pocketed and picked this one. So I was with you for a hot minute.
I mean, I also feel like Wizard of Oz would be a better deep dive. Honestly, everything on that poll is deep dive worthy
Yeah.
to me, right? And so it was going to be a hard choice no matter what. So
Yeah, but I'm much more reluctant to do Wizard of Oz. There's a treasure trove of history with that movie. I mean, we have like
I
every
agree.
fucking stitch of detail about it, and all of it's dramatic and traumatic. you
and
know?
we have seen like countless amounts of documentaries and shit like that. I mean, like,
Yeah, and it might be a little oversaturated, you know?
yeah.
I don't know. Everyone's just like, oh, this is a documentary on Wizard of Oz. I've seen that. Let me watch it. You know, so maybe everyone's already familiar, and that's why, you know? It's like they don't need us to put, you know, that slant on it. I don't know.
They just need to go and watch the Cursed Films on Shudder episode about it
yeah.
because it's traumatic.
Yeah.
So we got some comments on our episode of Starship Troopers, which we did way back in June. Where was it? July?
Something.
Sometime over the summertime. Joey's Monster Movies on YouTube said, "Starship Troopers is one of my favorite sci-fi movies. I love the bug battle at the Whiskey Outpost. I used to play the remake of that scene in the old StarCraft map all the time. Haha."
Yeah, StarCraft is a game.
I go, what is that?
It's kind of like Civilization, kind of, but not. StarCraft is still pretty big. So StarCraft like had to have something like that because StarCraft famously had like bug-like things that kind of looked like Starship Troopers.
Okay. I'm sorry. I had no idea what that was.
Yeah, it's kind of a dive into history of nerddom.
Okay.
So there will be listeners that know what it is.
Good. I
For,
hope so.
for real. Yeah.
Over my head, though.
Yeah. So Bennett over on Patreon said, "I watched this movie a lot as a teen, and it was one of my first DVDs. Let's just say when the co-ed shower scene came up, I quickly learned how to use the zoom function, especially on Casper Van Dien.
Amen, Bennett.
I had this on Laserdisc, I think. I had it on an 8-track. No. And yes, there was some pausing going on.
I mean, for sure. We are talking about all kinds of like queer shit in this Shooting the Flames. Starship Troopers spank bank and like wanting to wear a dress. So I mean, like,
Yeah.
I love it. So we got a comment from Bennett on our episode on Jurassic Park, and he says, "My first semester in film school, I spent a few hours volunteering on a student film that Joe Mazzello was involved in. And yes, he was and still is pretty cute. P.S. I was delighted to hear that when you needed a tiebreaker, Chris's husband gets recruited to play vice president for a day."
That's right. So first things first, Joe Mazzello, I think he played the kid
Yeah.
in Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
I don't know.
even know what he looks like now.
Yeah, me either.
We'll take your word for it, though.
I don't know if he was like still in film. I don't know. But yeah, so the story is on the bonus episode. There was a 3-way tie. And so I mentioned it in passing to my now husband, who I had been referring to as my husband until this point. We got married in November.
Yep.
And then went on honeymoon, which is why a lot of those episodes were out early in November because we recorded and edited and released them super fast. Anyway, that's an aside. And I mentioned that there was a 3-way tie. He's like, "Oh, I hadn't voted." I was like, "Oh shit." So was like, you have the power. And so he voted for Little Shop of Horrors because he had never seen it. Yeah. And so we did. And he watched it. And he gave it a 3.5.
Yeah.
He rates things fairly low, though, compared to...
I mean, comparatively to me, for sure.
For sure, yeah.
But why didn't he vote like immediately when the poll came out? I'm going to have to talk to him about that shit.
I don't know. I think he had better things to do. Like marry me.
No. Part of your vow should have been like, have you voted in our Patreon poll?
Either way, I'm going to break a piece. No.
I'm going to break off a piece of this poll. Oh, that still fits. You going to take it. You going to take this poll.
Right. That raises some questions. Speaking of which.
We got a question from Nikki, and she says, "Hey, gents, I have been racking my brain trying to remember the name of 2 movies you suggested. I just have to ask you because you mentioned them on your podcast. I'm going to try to give you a few scenes of both, although we were in an altered state when we watched the film. That's amazing. And maybe you can identify them."
So the first movie she said was Spanish with English subtitles. The first scene had a woman being flung around in a bathtub by a mysterious force, and later these old folks were trying to solve it. The issue was with the water, and the little boy died and came back to life and sat at the table with them. So I told her that was Terrified, not Terrifier.
No, God, not.
Aterrados, right? Terrified. So watch that because we loved it. And then she said the second movie is Spanish with English subtitles, and said, I honestly can't remember the plot, but there was a scene with a lady cooking in the kitchen and she intentionally chopped her fingers off, and a lot of it was set in a barn. And I told her, no, actually, that was not Spanish. And that is The Dark and the Wicked. And she responded that it was driving her crazy, and that she must have been very altered if she forgot it was in English. She also said she needs to rewatch The Night House when she's not altered because she wasn't into it. But she wants to because we really enjoyed it, obviously.
So, Nikki, when I watch movies, I'm always in an altered state, like almost every single time, unless I'm at the theater. Rarely, will I have partook in something. But if I'm at home, girl, I have had a gummy. And I'm enjoying that fucking movie.
Yeah, but you're not like blitzed. You're just like evened out. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I mean, just enough
here.
to like make myself extra scared or something like that.
Yeah.
But I hope to God you thought that movie was in Spanish while you were watching it. I fucking love it. And that reminds me, she has been asking for that top 10 list of movies to watch in an altered state. We need to.
Yeah, it's on our list of things to do.
Yeah.
It's on our list of lists of things to do. And and I also want to mention again, The Dark and the Wicked was filmed about, I want to say 40 minutes away from where we're sitting right now.
That's right. And I fucking love that movie. I recently got someone to watch it, and I don't think they cared for it as much as we did. But I think it's a fantastic fucking movie.
Yeah.
Scary as shit. Kimberly over on Patreon said, well, did you watch Halloween Ends? Also told me to watch Jacob's Ladder, for Christ's sake.
You've already seen it. She was talking to me.
Oh, yeah. I was like, I've seen Jacob's Ladder.
Yeah.
Several
times. She was like, for the love of Christ, go see Jacob's Ladder. Yeah, but she I think I already mentioned last Shooting the Flames or some other time. I think I mentioned what I thought about Halloween, but I just couldn't talk spoilery because you hadn't seen it yet.
I have now seen it.
Yes.
And yes, Kimberly, I have watched Halloween Ends. I don't know why I'm looking into my microphone like it's your face, but I've watched it. I'm kind of saving some things to talk about when we do our year-end episode, which will be out in January. But I liked it. I thought Halloween Ends was really good.
Yeah, he liked it better than I did, but probably because I prepped his expectations a little bit. I keep needing to not do that, but it's hard for me not to because he didn't want to see it, and I was trying to like intrigue him enough to see it.
I was gonna watch it
really
regardless.
His opinion.
I feel like I would have liked it if I had not even like prepped my expectations. I liked the movie. I thought it was good.
Traditionally, though, for both me and you, for our franchises we love, when they give us something that we didn't want initially, we react negatively to it. We discovered that our initial reaction to Prometheus.
Oh, yeah.
We had prejudice for Prometheus.
We did.
And because they handed us a Rembrandt and we wanted, a fucking Disney drawing,
But yeah, no, I mean, I feel like that movie was weird in the best fucking ways, right? Like I kind of want to watch it again. I liked it. It had nothing to do with it went in places that I never thought it would. And that's what made it good.
Thematically, it was good, right?
Yeah.
But like action-wise, plot-wise, it was not what the end of this franchise needed.
But I was okay with all of it. I mean, like everything about that movie was okay to me.
It just seemed like contrarian, you know what I mean? Like overtly. And so I still give it a good review because I still enjoyed it.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I thought the boy was cute too.
Yeah.
Weird.
Anyway, Bennett sent us an email and said, "Hello, Tired Queens. If you give me your mailing address, I can send you a DVD of my stage reading of Tennessee Williams' Suddenly Last Summer. I didn't act in it, but it does mark my stage directing debut."
Okay. Yes, I will send you a mailing address.
Did you ever send Kimberly?
No, I have not. I have not done that yet. I need to do that as well. Kimberly, I'm sorry.
She's going to beat you up at the ear, nose, and throat.
That's right. My ENT. Yes. Okay. Kimberly and Bennett, I will be sending you my address because I trust y'all with it because I really want to see this staging. I love Suddenly Last Summer.
Yeah.
I hope it turned out well, Bennett. I guess we'll find out.
So Penelope sent us an email and said, "Hey guys." And so I think she's been like, she's traveling over in Tanzania.
Yes.
And so, as she does for work, and other places as well. But she sends us kind of like the staccato of like thoughts because she catches up on all our episodes, which is
She's
like
binging.
both complimentary and kind of insulting at the same time. So first things first, Flamies Awards. I'm here for it. Can we please do this? Yes, we've been flirting with the idea of having our own awards season and maybe like bringing other people onto the show or doing polls among other podcasts or doing something to kind of build up our own awards. And we call them the Flamies.
I think eventually if we do that, it's just going to have to be us. I mean, like us and listeners.
Yeah, we can call them whatever we want. She also said, "Rent. Why does everyone always hate on this? I feel like it's a Vegemite Marmite situation. You either love it or you hate it. There's no in between. It hurts my heart that y'all aren't on the Rent train, but I'll get over it, I guess. Yeah, I don't like Rent.
I mean, like there was a time that I did like Rent.
The Broadway play.
Yeah, but every time someone came to visit me in New York, they're like, let's go see Rent. Let's go see Rent. And I was like, please, God, I'd rather not. It's really just because I got like bored with it after a while.
Yeah, it might be one of those things where it's like if you're not in it, or if you're not in the mood, and you don't allow yourself to like enjoy it or get sucked into it, maybe it just doesn't have that emotional hit for you, and that's just one of those things.
Well, and also,
same thing with Wicked for me. Like,
oh yeah, I don't really care
people
for Wicked
are like
either.
this is like people's religions, like, and so there are people that are like unpatronizing right now because I'm saying this stuff.
I mean, I have a very massive musical like playlist that I listen to all the time, and I never skip the Rent songs. I like them. I listen to them when they come on. I never skip the Wicked songs either, like the ones that I like.
I don't wish them any harm. I don't hate them. I never got into it. Like I watched Wicked and I've seen Rent a couple times.
I feel like now that Rent is closed on Broadway, when they revive it,
I like the Team America version better.
Yeah,
everybody has AIDS.
What's so funny?
She said accents from Drop Dead Gorgeous. Is there an accent Chris can't do well? Also, is there an accent that Robert does well that Chris can't? He does Irish. Well, he does Irish noises better than I can.
Yeah, I don't really do accents.
But now you have to do it.
Horses.
Okay. All right. Now all the Irish people are unsubscribing.
Wait till I get there, Ireland.
All right. Then we had some sort of banter about E.T., I guess, or someone was named Elliot from some sort of deep dive we did, maybe, or maybe we mentioned something.
I don't know.
But she cackled maniacally out loud while she was walking outside, and she's pretty sure that everyone thought she had finally lost her damn mind. And I think what it was is that one of us said Elliot and the other said ouch. And I'm not sure I remember the context.
No, I kind of remember that. I'm having a recovered memory.
Yeah. Elliot. Ouch. Anyway, she also says, I need to watch Flea. How did I miss this?
Oh.
Yeah, that was like up for best animated feature, and it's pretty fucking heavy.
It was up for like 3 different awards.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love it. I'll watch it again.
It was so good.
So yeah. What's the difference between dark comedy and a dark comedy? I don't know. I don't know where that came from.
Extra darks?
Yeah. I don't know. Especially dark.
But especially dark.
Yes. Robert's French and Eyes Wide Shut sounded like a mix of French devolved into a Swedish chef. It amused me greatly. Keep it coming. I don't think he meant And happy Thanksgiving from Tanzania, where we say a Film Flamers episode a day keeps the boredom away.
I feel like anytime I do any kind of an accent, it devolves into Swedish chef because he's kind of my spirit animal. Like my spirit animals are like Swedish Chef from the Muppets and Ralph from the Simpsons. Like I just can't with either one of them. I just turn into that.
Yeah, and I can't do any accents.
You do accents?
Yeah, I just like for a little bit, you know, like I think Kimberly came on and said like, that's okay. But then she actually read it correctly for us.
Oh.
I think we played that voicemail,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So I do passable jobs sometimes. Like I can do maybe like a British a little bit, and I can do that Wisconsin thing a little bit.
Your drop dead gorgeous accent, or your like Midwest accent is good. Is good. I like it.
But I can't do like Australian. Good
No, I
eye,
can't
you know? And I can't do really anything else.
I can't do anything anyway. I just do my own. I don't even have an accent, do I? I'm accentless.
Well, everyone with an accent doesn't think they have an accent.
Oh, you're like blowing my mind. What the fuck do I sound like?
Yeah.
We got another email from Jake McDonald, and he said, "Hi, Queens. Greetings from London. I found your podcast last year, and I haven't looked back since. Keep up the good work. Anyway, the other night I watched Last Night in Soho, directed by Edgar Wright. Also definitely recommend Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead, as comedies. I found it to be a very good watch. However, my partner didn't seem to like it. I definitely think it would be worth a watch, maybe even a deep dive. Would love to hear your opinions on it. Kisses, Jake."
I think we talked about this on our last review, our last year-end review.
We did. So,
Yeah.
Jake, go back and listen to our year-end episode from January 2022. And we talked about Last Night at Soho because I think I loved it. I thought it was
on both of our top 10s, I believe. Yeah.
It was a very, very good movie. And I would assume maybe deep dive worthy in the future.
Yeah.
Like, I think sometimes newer stuff, we kind of let it rest for a little bit.
I mean, it depends.
But we both liked it. And
We're definitely going to deep dive it eventually.
yeah, and I do like Edgar Wright. I think his movies are really good.
Yeah.
Famously, I had not seen Shaun of the Dead ever, and Chris got me to watch it, and I thought it was fucking hilarious.
Yep.
So I haven't seen Hot Fuzz. I should probably watch that too.
It's not as good, in my opinion. It's also not horror adjacent, really.
I thought it was kind of horror adjacent, like violent, maybe.
Yeah, but it's not horror, really. Shaun of the Dead is horror.
Well, yeah, for sure.
Horror comedy, you know. Anyway, comparatively, relatively. Bennett over on Patreon said, "Have you tired queens gotten around to watching the new season of American Horror Story? Because so far it's passing off as an unofficial remake of Cruising. But this time there are far more gay creatives in front of and behind the camera."
So I have watched the first episode, Bennett.
I don't know. If there's not fisting going on in the background, then it's probably not as gay.
I hear it gets real fucking gay. There's like a fucking hot muscle daddy murderer in it. Maybe we should watch that tonight. So the first episode was good, but it's very, very, very,
So you have
very,
seen the
very,
first
very
episode?
freezing. Yeah.
Oh.
When it first started, and then I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna wait until this is done, and then I'll binge it all.
Is it done?
It's finished now.
Oh, okay.
So it's very cruising. It's very like leather scene, serial killer. And I was into that vibe. And I've been kind of like off the American Horror Story lately because I'm just like, I kind of lost interest.
Got a little fatigue.
Yes.
The franchise seemed to have fatigue as well.
But if anything's going to bring me back into the fold, it is this fucking season because I'm kind of here for it. I just need to sit down and watch it.
Okay. Well, let's do it.
Stay tuned, Bennett.
We got some voicemails.
Oh, we got a lot of voicemails.
We did. So the first one's from Ashlie.
Hey, Chris and Robert, it's Ashlie, a.k.a. Fembot18, longtime listener, huge fan, and most recently a Patreon. I am calling to let Robert know that I thought the Nightmare on Elm Street episodes were fantastic, so much so that is what prompted me to become a Patreon. So I know that you were evaluating whether or not that juice was worth the squeeze, and I am here to tell you, to this little Freddy freak, it was. The other thing I wanted to comment on is in your hot takes for this month of November, there was a lot of conversation about Midnight Club and Christopher Pike and Season of Passage. And I am a huge, huge fan of Midnight Club, Christopher Pike, and Season of Passage, and also Mike Flanagan because of you guys. I liked the series. I think I liked it, though, because I really wanted to like it. And I can admit that. I enjoyed it. I loved Heather Langenkamp in it. I loved that they used actors from previous Mike Flanagan films. I cried. I definitely got scared. Thought it was great. Also agree that Interview with a Vampire on AMC is so good. It is gold. We're living in the golden age, guys. We're so lucky. Anyway, I just wanted to call and thank you both for putting on such a great podcast consistently for so many years. You guys are the best. Thank you. Sweet dreams.
Oh my God, I thought I'd never hear that. Thank you for putting on such a good podcast for so many years. Can you believe that? We've started this the first time.
200 fucking episodes.
Yeah.
Shit.
Good episode for that feedback. But yeah, also so great that, you know, she wanted to tell you specifically that it was a Nightmare on Elm Street episodes that really kind of made her pull the trigger, you know?
I'm so glad. That is my favorite horror franchise. I just love those movies so much. And you had commented on Instagram at one point saying that you were looking forward to it. And I was like, oh shit. Like, I hope we live up to expectations and whatnot. So if you liked him enough to head over to Patreon and join that family, that makes me so happy, Ashlie. And about the Midnight Club stuff, like, I was bawling in some of those episodes, like so much that I had to like stop and walk away and just like cry for a little bit. Like, it was very effective. And I'm not a huge Christopher Pike fan. Like, I just don't have that experience, right? But that show was good and it made me cry a lot. And Season of Passage is great.
Well, you're going to get more questions about that coming up because Penelope gave us a bunch of voicemails, which we're going to play a portion of. But first, Ashlie, you also mentioned the Vampire Chronicles. You mentioned Interview with the Vampire, and we are totally on board. You have yet to finish it, don't you?
Yeah, I have to finish it still.
So many things to watch.
So many things to watch.
You definitely have to finish that, though.
I know. I need to sign up for AMC Plus.
Yeah, because you get all of Shudder with it, too.
Right. Every time I think to go do it, Shudder has already charged me for the next month.
It doesn't matter. You know, it's just a couple bucks.
I know, but still.
I will fucking Venmo you.
No, I'll just do it.
Plus, I think like the first month you sign up is free anyway, so like the overlap wouldn't matter.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Good. All right. Done.
Yeah. Totes. So Penelope is catching up, as you know from earlier comments. Penelope is catching up on our all of our episodes, including Shooting the Flames episodes, which is harder for us to kind of track to see what we were talking about because it's also random based on comments and questions and, you know, what we're, you know, random things we were talking about. And so what I'm going to do is kind of go through a play-by-play of some of the voicemails, and then I'll play her last one, where she gives us a special message about the holiday. Okay. So first off, she talks about Annihilation. And so she was listening to our deep dive there and kind of talking about the combination or the difference between Annihilation, the movie, and the book. Because we were asking, like, if anyone read the book, like, did they like it better? And she actually liked the movie better.
Oh.
Yeah. Although, based on our deep dive, she was surprised to hear that the bear's name was Homerton, which I had forgotten because that must have been one of my fun facts.
It was.
Yeah. And she talked about the ruins, and I think she liked the book better in the ruins. She also wants us to start like maybe some sort of like maybe drinking game with our use of the word Muppety, which apparently we use multiple times.
We say Muppety a lot.
Yeah. So she wants an episode count of the word Muppety so that she can start a drinking game or something.
I mean, like, just you tell us, honestly. We say the word Muppety so much that I use it with other people now. Like, I've been at work and I was like, that's Muppety. And people look at me like they have no fucking idea. I was really talking over the Thanksgiving holiday, I was talking about a specific movie. I can't remember what I was talking about with someone in my family. And I was like, well, that's just Muppety. And I'm like, oh, it's not Chris. Like, I can't just say this to other people.
It's got to be more universal than that. I mean, everyone knows what a Muppet is.
They do, but when you use like Muppety, like that's really just a you and I thing. And I've got to remember that.
Yeah.
Like, stop being so fucking Muppety.
Yeah, it could mean physically. It could mean emotionally.
It could mean all those things, but no one else gets it like you do. So, I mean, come on.
It works in almost every conversation. So, yeah, if anyone wants to start a drinking game for the Film Flamers, I guess we're working off the word Muppety.
We'll drink every time we say Muppety.
Yeah.
You're going to be drunk.
She also wants to know why neither of us had never heard of the novel Roadside Picnic.
Nope.
Which is like a philosophical sci-fi horror novel.
I mean, I've heard of the title.
Yeah, I have too, but I didn't know anything about it. Or the video game Stalker.
Nope.
And I hadn't either, and I missed that. It's like a first-person horror game that I somehow missed.
Are you the stalker?
I don't know.
Oh, I want to play that.
I have nothing in it. Yeah, I don't know about it. Yeah, so she also mentioned like something that we said randomly, like this is Star Wars imagined by Eeyore. What a Muppety thing for me to say.
What it is Muppety.
She's like, please go into more detail, and I can't.
Well, sorry.
I have no idea.
It's lost.
I have to time travel.
Thought is lost.
Yeah, but she was talking about Tanzania where she is, and there's like this local legend of like a monster crocodile. And she thinks it's albino as well. So it's like she was thinking about Annihilation. She realized it connected that there's like this, crocodile there, and its name is Gustavo.
Gustavo.
There's a crocodile in Tanzania called the Gustavo, and it's giant and it's albino and it's killed people, and it's a real thing.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I was like thinking maybe this is a sequel to Ghost in the Darkness, like the Ghost of Gustavo.
That'd be less.
Gustavo and the Ghost.
Gustavo. What a cute name for a murderous crocodile.
Or just Gustavo.
Gustavo. Sorry, it took me a minute. Shit. Gustavo.
Anyway, also, she said Bennett called us evolved bitches, and she said we need t-shirts. So we officially need t-shirts that call us Film Flamers evolved bitches.
Sure, we'll make it.
We'll give Bennett a few bucks every time.
Wait, what am I reading in this docket right now? This document? Hates Clue. She hates Clue.
Yes.
Penelope.
Yeah.
The fuck you say?
She said, I'm sorry. Like we don't like Rent. She doesn't like, maybe like we're just like medium on Rent, but she literally said like she just does not like Clue.
Well, that seems like you're in the minority for most people in this planet.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe she needs to watch it again. I don't know.
Okay, when you get back from Tanzania, you're going to have to watch Clue. I'll watch Rent.
I mean, admittedly, it works better as a clip show, but...
No, it's good as a whole. Stop being so muppety.
Okay, you're overusing that word.
I'm trying to make her drink.
We'll say muppety 60 times.
And then we'll watch Clip.
And then watch Clip. She's also wondering what the deal is with Helen Hunt's looks, because apparently we were being mean.
Google.
She's like, should I look it up? Because I'm scared. And all I have to tell her is, she kind of looks muppety. She doesn't care about a Twister sequel. I don't know. I'm kind of intrigued, but without, Bill Paxton, it's less interesting for me. I don't know. Also, she said Robert has only read one Christopher Pike book. Which one? Right. And so obviously I feel like we've answered that multiple times in different episodes. So maybe she's getting to those, but Season of Passage.
Yeah. The
Christopher Pike book. But there are a myriad of others that I would give you to read.
Adult books?
There's a couple adult books. Yes. The Cold One is one of them. And it's a very good one. Although every time I think of that title, I think of a beer.
I'm thinking of beer right now, actually.
One.
This one's empty.
And and there's a monster. There's a lot of teenager ones that are really, really good. I'd love to give you some of the ones that they tried to do in Midnight Club. But, whatever.
I mean, I'm down. I like to read.
A lot of them are quick reads.
So, yeah. I mean, like Season of Passage is kind of dense, but I read it really fast. So
yeah, no, they're easy reads because they're so intriguing and they're page turners. You know.
So I mean, I'm down for it. Send me all the recommendations. I will read almost anything.
She's also mad that she feels like she's given you like lots of book recommendations over the years, and that you've maybe only like read one of them.
Have I? Well, she needs to write them down.
Or you do.
No, she should write them down and give them to me. Stop being so muppety. And write them down.
Anyway, let's finish this with playing her last voicemail.
Happy belated Thanksgiving, Film Flamers. So I just listened to your Shooting the Flames episode from June. Don't hate me, I'm super behind. And I just wanted to say, first off, I don't know if the things have changed since June. I'm assuming not, because I assume the worst of people. Sorry, Robert. But I'll come on and talk all things Stranger Things with you, Chris, since Robert is a loser and won't watch Stranger Things. I also wanted to say about like the whole Winnie the Pooh horror thing that one of my friends from grad school was in a play during the pandemic that was sort of like super dark, super dark, about Winnie the Pooh. It was called Winnie the Pooh and the Seven Deadly Sins, where like Christopher Robin is like a repressed gay boy and like was like horrifically abused and like went off to college and was like had like basically a breakdown, and then goes back to like meet up with his friends, and they're all like essentially each one like represents one of the 7 deadly sins. It's like super, super, super dark. Anyways, I don't know if they had like the ability to do that or not, but they did it. They sure as hell did it. It was a thing that happened. Anyways, thought that might amuse you. Bye.
She also, as proof, gave us a screenshot of the cover advertisement of the play.
I saw it earlier.
Yeah. It's basically a giant like picture of like a giant Winnie the Pooh in his like cave with splitting at the seams with stuffing coming out, filling his mouth with honey from the pot that says gluttony on it, and all of the empty bottles on the ground that say like lust and envy and sloth and pride. And then there's like this emaciated Christopher Robin on the cover, and it's like Winnie the Pooh and the 7 Deadly Sins. So this is legit.
I'm really glad that we're talking about this now because I saw that on Google Drive and I was like, what the fuck is this even referencing? So that sounds amazing. I would watch that shit. And also happy belated Thanksgiving to you as well. I never said I was not going to watch Stranger Things. I just haven't watched it yet. Here's the difference.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm slow.
Yeah. A pox on all your houses.
That's right.
Well, thank you for all of your messages this episode and your voicemails this episode, Penelope. We'll definitely be responding to more because we couldn't even fit all of the stuff that you sent us in this episode just because you're doing catch up. And so we really appreciate that. We're something that you can listen to while you're away to stave off boredom.
Thank God.
You know, so we'll be there for you.
And yes, so next month, Penelope, stay tuned for more responses to all of your social media comments. Well, that was a lot of comments and questions, but we do have a new patron. Jessica E. joined us at the film Sparker level, and she sent us a message. And she said, "Hey guys, I have been a listener for a while, but it's your Gateway Horror Top 10 episode that really sealed the deal to become a patron. And now I have all this bonus content. Amazing. In the Legend episode, you spoke a lot about Disney movies, and neither in the Legend episode or the Gateway episode did I hear a mention of the Watcher in the Woods. I mean, Betty Davis as a scary old-timey creepy lady, an old English mansion that appears to be haunted, and children disappearing into another dimension. Holy shit, y'all. This movie haunted my nightmares as a kid. If you look into this movie, watch it and then watch the alternate ending on YouTube. It's totally different and was the original ending until audience polls said it was just too much for Disney, so they toned it way down. Another Gateways, Return to Oz was a fave of mine as an 8 or 9-year-old, but my OG was Poltergeist. I was the same age as Carol Ann, and I looked just like her, so I was obsessed in a 6-year-old narcissist way. I watched that movie on repeat and never did it dawn on my mother to maybe not let a 6-year-old watch it over and over again. Thanks you guys for all the bonus content I get to dive into."
You're welcome, Jessica. And yeah, after I saw that comment, and I did respond to her on Patreon, but I immediately added Watcher in the Woods to my watch list because I've never even fucking heard of it.
That it's good. It's very scary, actually. It probably deserved a mention on that Gateway episode. Maybe not in the top 10, but certainly in like the special
if I had known about it, I really definitely want to watch it and then see the alternate ending because that sounds kind of deep divey to me, potentially.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm totally into that. And obviously, the Gateway Horror sealed the deal for you to become a patron, Jessica. And for that, we are super grateful.
Yes.
And we are glad to have you. And oh my God, we can't wait to do more Gateway Horror.
Stay tuned because Return to Oz is coming. And obviously, we fucking love Poltergeist. Go listen to our episode if you haven't already.
Yeah. Our deep dive, we just gush the entire time. And we get to play that amazing Jerry Goldsmith score. Yes. Kind of like the director's cut for Legend. So everyone watch that director's cut.
Mother Teresa.
Mother Teresa of Darkness.
Mother Teresa of Darkness.
I smell another t-shirt.
That's going to be your Halloween costume.
Mother Teresa of Darkness. Handing out director's cut editions of Legend
to every child who rings your doorbell. So you're going to be like, you'll have that fucking gown that Mia Sarah wears in Legend, and you'll have like the Mother Teresa habit on top of your head.
Yeah, well, let's face it. If you read the actual history, Mother Teresa was the Mother Teresa of Darkness. Anyway, don't want to spoil that for anyone.
Wah, wah. We have to shout out our patrons who are at the Film Flamer tier or higher over on Patreon, and they are
Ashlie,
Ben,
Kimberly,
Lisa,
Penelope,
and Walstrich.
but especially
all y'all.
Yeah.
Come on.
Thank all of you and all of our other patrons as well, really.
Yeah. I mean, 200th episode, we have to be giving out all the thanks.
Yeah, keeping the lights on.
That is for sure.
Horror news.
We have two pieces of information, two pieces of horror news that kind of go hand in hand. And Entertainment Weekly reported that The Midnight Club has been ghosted by Netflix after only one season.
Slow clap for that title, Entertainment Weekly.
I know. Dumb pun.
Yeah, and so the next news item is that Mike Flanagan signs a multi-year series deal at Amazon. So this could be part and parcel to that, right? And so I don't know if they canceled it. Well, Mike Flanagan's not going to be here. He just signed a fucking deal with Amazon, and that says multi-year series deal. So I don't know if that is a one series, one show that goes on for multiple seasons, or if it is multiple series. I think the way it's worded, it's one series that would go on for multiple seasons. And Amazon's fairly better about this than Netflix. Netflix, if they don't see numbers, they don't let shows kind of get a stride. They don't let their shows kind of grow beards a lot of the time. So people are a little gun shy, understandably. Like some Joe Blow off the street could have an idea and get a show on Netflix, but it's much more unlikely that they're actually going to get a season 2.
That's true.
And I have mixed feelings about this because I really want to see more Christopher Pike stories. But what Mike Flanagan did was he made it a Mike Flanagan story and made up, he made the bookend, the story, right? Instead of the actual stories from Christopher Pike. And so Christopher Pike, again, didn't get a fair shake on TV. And that kind of pisses me off. And it damages my view of Mike Flanagan. And so still, I love Dr. Sleep. I love Haunting of Hill House. Less so with Bly Manor. I also loved Midnight Mass. Mm-hmm. So by far and away, I still love Mike Flanagan. But what he did with Christopher Pike here kind of pissed me off. Well, so we'll see what he does with Season of Passage, if that's even still happening. I don't know.
I think that's still happening, but I think that's more of a theatrical thing that he's working on.
Well, I actually would hope that it would be more of a series, because that's like you said, that book is dense.
It is very dense.
So if that is a multi-series deal on Amazon, that would be fucking amazing.
So I still very much like Mike Flanagan. I don't have the kind of connection to the Midnight Club as a book, or is it a series of books? Or is it just a book? Yeah, that you do. I've never read it.
It's an anthology.
I still think that Mike Flanagan is a brilliant.
And the bookend story was even better in the original book.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, I need to read it, obviously.
Less YA, weirdly.
But all this news was going on today, right? I was reading a lot of it when I pulled up like Facebook or Twitter, like people were talking about this, and it was kind of all over the place. Of the switch, because it was a big deal when Mike Flanagan signed that deal with Netflix.
Yeah, and he still has a show coming out there, Fall of the House of Usher, which should not be affected, but it is coming out in 2023 sometime. Yeah,
and that is it's very much in the same vein as like Hill House, kind of. You know what I mean? It's a whole bunch of Poe stories like put together. So I don't know. I mean, like, I'm always interested to see what he does. I feel like Amazon has a lot of money to throw at people too, just when Netflix does as well.
I don't know, because they spent a lot of their money on this Lord of the Rings show.
Well, which
fell flat with a bunch of people.
They need to give Mike Flanagan some money. But yes, so the answer to one of your earlier questions, Entertainment Weekly, the Midnight Club was canceled at Netflix because Flanagan left.
You think so?
Yes, they said it in an article today.
They were quoted.
Not Netflix in general, but someone reported that was the case, that it was canceled because he was no longer making shows with them.
Okay, well, I'll think about crying later.
So there you go. You're not going to get any more Midnight Club. It has been canceled because he's going over to Amazon, and there will not be an Amazon version of the Midnight Club because that belongs to Netflix. But that's understandable
too, because if he's busy over on Amazon, then he's not going to be able to show run, over on Netflix. Nope. So I get it. And I wouldn't want to either, because really the only episodes I liked were the ones that he helmed.
Well, and then he came to the end of his Netflix deal, right?
Yeah,
and
this is normal. This is business.
We don't know what it was like to make those shows over on Netflix for him.
You should never feel loyal towards corporations, maybe a person or teams of people. But, if Amazon's saying, hey, we're going to give you money to do this multi-series deal that you were dreaming about, do it. Versus Netflix, if he wants to do a multi-series deal, I can tell why anyone would have hesitation going to Netflix. Because if the numbers aren't quite what they want, they're not going to let a series breathe. They are not known for that. Netflix is a, hack and slash with their shows, and they're known for that. So fuck them.
We're going to have to see what happens, though. But when I saw some of those headlines today while scrolling through social media, my mouth was agape. So, kind of like it was when I saw this particular headline. Apparently, there's a movie called Bambi, The Reckoning, in which Bambi becomes a vicious killing machine in an upcoming horror film.
Right. And so this is from the same team, theoretically, as Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, which is coming out in February.
Yes.
And also, they have another movie coming up, Peter Pan Neverland Nightmare. Right. So they're doing all of this stuff. And so a lot of the stuff you'd know from Disney, right? But Bambi, it's actually the book from 1923 that just went into open, that is going into open domain.
Yep.
Right. And so they're just going to try and do this whole series even before their first one comes out, which, from the trailer, it looked like a piece of shit.
Blood and Honey?
Yeah.
I'm going to watch it anyway, though.
Yeah. We'll just have to see. But they're trying to make Bambi from the relic. So like antlers, you know what I mean? Like this fucking monster. So
I mean, I'm kind of here for it. I really enjoy really stupid, intentionally stupid horror.
It's not highbrow horror like, Cocaine Bear or whatever the fuck.
Oh my God, I'm so ready for that too. Oh, I can't wait till we talk about trailers.
Yeah. So the last item of news is The Dentist and The Dentist 2 are drilling into Blu-ray for the first time.
Did we just talk about this?
No, but thank you, Bloody Disgusting, for that title. I love drilling into Blu-ray for the first time. We did talk about The Dentist recently. Yeah.
On our Little Shop of Horrors
bonus
episode.
Because of the big Muppety mouth that was in there. And I was like, that's the same way they do it in The Dentist.
I've never seen The Dentist.
You have to watch The Dentist.
Isn't Corbin Burnson in that?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
No, it's so good. I just love to see you fucking squirm in that movie.
Oh God, I can't. I hate the dentist. My mouth shows it. So.
Oh my God, I can't wait.
Okay, well, let's get that on Blu-ray and we'll watch it.
Okay, I want to see if it's on streaming first so I can shave off some time. So I can drill off some time.
Drilling into Blu-ray. Love it.
Coming soon.
So, the first trailer we're going to talk about today is from a movie called Troll. And it started yesterday.
Yeah, December 1st.
On Netflix. And it has a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes, although based on the trailer, I don't know how.
I don't know. It looks like well done. The effects look well done. And, who knows if it's 91% on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't know how many reviews that is.
Yeah.
It looks like it's a co-production, maybe US and Swedish, mostly Swedish.
I would say mostly Swedish. Yeah, or Norwegian.
One of those.
One of the two.
Sounds like the Swedish Chef half the time in the freaking trailer.
I mean, yeah, the effects look amazing.
Birdie.
Bork, bork, bork. Birdie.
Wow.
What the fuck was I saying?
How many, we're celebrating our 200th episode. We're going to lose so many people from Ireland and
Scandinavian
countries.
They're like, fuck you. Bork, bork. I don't know. Okay. Yes, the effects look amazing in this. And it seems like it's really action packed and fun, kind of disaster-y kind of movie. And I'm kind of here for that aspect of it. But every single piece of fucking dialogue in that trailer is ridiculous. And I was just like, am I going to be rolling my eyes throughout this entire movie every time someone speaks?
I don't know.
So
but it's there on Netflix for free. So if you,
it's not for free. We pay for Netflix.
Well, you already pay for Netflix. So,
I mean, I'll probably end up watching it, but this entire thing reminds me of a movie that I watched a couple years ago called Troll Hunter, which is really, really, really fucking good.
Yeah. And it's probably, somewhat based on that. I don't know.
Probably.
But I think this is more on local legend and their local mythology, and they're trying to take advantage of telling their own story. And
this was also a Norwegian movie, Troll Hunter was.
Okay.
So, I mean, I didn't know that trolls solely came from that part of the world.
Birdie. Don't know what to tell you.
Have you seen the fucking TikTok video of the Swedish chef singing that song by Lizzie or whatever, Lizzo?
No.
It's about den time. It's a bork, bork, bork. It's like, in a minute, I'm going to do it. Bork, bork, bork. That's way off topic.
How did you watch that and not send it to me?
I think I may have. At least I favorited it. I'll have to show you later. In a minute, I'm going to do it. Bork, bork, bork.
So next up, we've got The Eternal Daughter, which is a team up between A24 and Tilda Swinton in dual roles. Ooh. This will be in theaters December 2nd. I'm guessing select theaters, right?
Yeah.
And it so far has a 96% on Rotten Tomatoes. So
this is a trailer.
Yeah, this is a good trailer, but I still have no fucking clue what it's about.
No.
Like, I don't know if I'm like really intrigued or really fucking bored, but it's A24. It's Tilda Swinton. It has a 96% on Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, come on.
I mean, I'm
the
here
math
for
is
it.
there.
For real. And we were watching this trailer and I was like, is she playing both roles?
Yes.
I'm like, yes.
She looks exactly the same. I mean,
She does. I know.
I'm not even trying.
There's no makeup at all.
It's just Tilda Swinton with glasses and a white wig.
But since I'm now on the Tilda train, I mean, I am all about it. I want to see this movie.
What is the Tilda train? Was that the first movie?
Snowpiercer. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Are you on the Snowpiercer? No, your flesh.
She was so good in that movie. Like, and then I just loved her in fucking Suspiria. So yeah,
I haven't seen that one movie with Idris Elba that she's been in recently. I was told that was really good.
Oh, the happiness one. It was. I forgot what it was called, but yes.
I don't know. 1,000 years of something longing.
Yes, maybe.
Yeah.
I need to watch that as well, but I really want to watch this one because I'm intrigued by it.
My sister said it was really good. So
good. But yeah, so yeah, we'll check this one out.
Yeah.
But pork. You never knew. But most importantly, we have been given the trailer of all trailers for a movie that I feel is probably going to be way up there with like The Color Purple for me.
Well,
and that's Cocaine Bear.
Yeah. Cocaine Bear. And if you have not seen this fucking trailer, go to our show notes, click on the link. It's YouTube. It's amazing. This is starring Ray Liotta, and this is maybe his final role.
Yeah.
And Kerry Russell, of all people. And this isn't going to be in theaters on February 24th. And this is partially based on a true story.
Yeah.
And this bear hath sucked up and eaten and snorted a metric shit ton of cocaine. And that's the whole fucking movie.
And it goes on a murderous rampage.
Yeah. And it's hilarious.
It looks fucking hilarious.
It looks like a theater watch. It looks like I want to be with an audience when I see this.
And like, Nikki, prepare yourself. This has got to be an altered state watch for sure. I was telling Chris earlier, I was like, I'm going to take a gummy. I'm going to go sit and watch this movie in the theater and I'm going to have a good fucking time because it looks violent. It looks funny. And it looks ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I'm here for all those things.
I love there's like this kid in the tree who just survived this bear attack or whatever. And the mom's like, what happened? He was like, there was this bear and it was fucked.
This movie just looks like so much fun. And I know that Elizabeth Banks either directed it or had or produced it or something like that. So you know it's going to be really fucking funny. I love Kerry Russell. That bear, when it's like leaping into the back of that ambulance, I'm just like, I am here for this.
Yes.
Like, for sure. This movie just looks great.
Yes.
And I really hope that the more I go to gay bars, people start calling me Cocaine Bear.
Cocaine.
Cocaine. Oh my God. I want to watch the trailer again. So good. But like Chris said, we have links to all of these trailers and all of the news items in our show notes. So go and check those out.
Well, guys, I think that about wraps up our 200th episode.
We had a lot of comments and questions, though, and we love to hear those, so keep them coming. Look for us, follow us on social media at The Film Flamers on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. You can also follow us on Letterboxd.
You can email us at tiredqueens@filmflamers.com or call our hotline at 972-666-7733. You can bork me anytime.
Bring the cocaine. You can bork me anytime.
You can drill into my Blu-ray. But don't ghost me.
No.
Stupid article titles. Anyway, stay tuned with us for next month. Or actually this month. As we celebrate the holiday season with 2 holiday adjacent movies, which are
Batman Returns
and The Nightmare Before Christmas.
I'm looking forward to watching both of these movies. It's been a while since I've seen either one.
Me too.
And you know how I love a horror adjacent Christmas movie.
I know. What else do we have in store? I think on Patreon we're doing something special too.
Yeah, I think we're talking about Black Christmas, but that may be up in the air. Are we going to do that or not?
The new Black Christmas?
Not the
remake,
one, but the
middle one.
Yeah.
The Goldilocks one. With Sarah Michelle Gellar's younger sister, Buffy's younger sister.
Michelle Trachtenberg.
Yes.
Yes. Black Christmas.
Okay. Maybe.
Check it out.
We'll
Maybe.
see.
And so head over to patreon.com/thefilmflamers and join the family. We're going to read your name on the next Shooting the Flames. And there's lots to talk about over there. So do it.
Do it.
Also, like Chris said earlier,
Work.
getting reviews on Apple Podcasts or iTunes is very, very helpful for us. So if you could please head over there, leave us a 5-star review and why you like us, and we're going to read that on Shooting the Flames.
Well, Robert, I'm coming off of all this cocaine, so...
All that cocaine? Need to go bork?
I'm ready to do some cocaine country dancing.
All right, well, let's go do that, and then maybe we'll have some
sweet dreams.
Why do I keep saying bork now? What's that like saying cocaine? I don't know.
It's a bork.
Oh.